Hi everyone, welcome back to your soon-to-be favorite podcast. I'm Angelica.
And I'm Kelsey.
And this is
Here We Grow. All right, guys, I'm back. Angelica is not with me today. My husband Travis is here with me. Say hello.
Hello.
He is here with me again today because we're coming right up on Angelica's wedding. So Travis is doing an episode with me for this week, and then next week we will have a pre-recorded episode that we did with Stephanie. It's going to be a little bonus episode, so look forward to that. And then Angelica will be back right after that. And we would actually love if you guys could send us questions for a Q&A episode where we're going to recap her wedding and her bachelorette weekend in Nashville. So if you have questions for the Q&A, send them to us on Instagram. If you know us personally, text us if you need to. However you want to get us those questions, that would be great. I think that's going to be a really fun episode where we just gossip about her wedding and her bachelorette party. So stay tuned for that. Today, me and Travis are going to talk a little bit about parenting. And before we jump into parenting, we are going to do 5 rules that we've come up with for having a good fight. Would you agree that's how you would say it?
Yeah.
Okay, so like 5 rules to have a successful fight. So like all couples fight, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty common. If you're not fighting, well, you're either in the puppy dog stage or you may not be in a healthy relationship. Fighting is normal.
Right.
Now, there's a way to fight where it's you can have a productive fight that actually leads to some understanding at the end and some growth. And that's really the goal, is to have a productive, non-abusive, non-toxic fight.
Yeah.
So we came up with 5 rules for that. So we're going to tell them to you right now and elaborate on them. And then we're going to talk about parenting. All right, you want to tell us what rule number 1 is?
No name calling whatsoever.
Yes, no name calling. I think we've done that for the whole 12 years we've been together. Like,
yeah,
that's
definitely.
Always been a big thing with us. Like, we do not call each other out of our names.
Yeah.
Ever.
No matter what. No matter how
mad.
Yeah.
Because with name calling comes disrespect, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you are willing to call someone out of their name, even out of anger, that's a certain level of disrespect. Like, you don't have that portion of respect for your partner.
Yeah.
So I think we've always stuck with, like, as long as we're not name calling each other, then we know we're still good.
Yep.
That's kind of a good, like, barometer for it or whatever.
Yeah, it is.
And then you had added to that, no cussing if you can help it.
Yeah.
And that's harder than not name calling for sure. If anybody knows me, I'm a potty mouth. Like, I cuss probably more than one should.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, well, here's the reason. I have a great job, and cussing is not only okay, but it's encouraged at my job. As long as we're not cussing at each other, obviously. Like, we're just like, oh yeah, the fucking this and fucking that. Like, we just...
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So the no cussing rule is, again, disrespect. Like, it's kind of a scale of, like, how bad is it getting for us.
Yeah.
Like, if our fight gets really, really bad and we start cussing with each other, then we may need to consider, like, stepping away for a minute, or, like, it's not worth to continue going if we're cussing at each other. We're not going to get anything done. We're not going to be productive.
Oh, and another thing, we should have made this rule. When you're arguing with your significant other, remember, it's not a game. It's not who gets the last word. It's not
Okay.
don't
Who
make it your
wins.
goal to get your point across. It's not about getting your point across. At the whole argument, first of all, nine times out of 10, most arguments stem from misunderstandings.
Mm-hmm.
So try to remember, like, in the argument, you really need to just get understood and understand the other person where they're coming from.
Right. Common understanding.
Yeah. Just try to both of y'all equal it out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you might not agree still, but you can leave the argument understanding each other, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true. We're gonna get to that one. Well, I'll just skip to that one anyway. One way that you can kind of prevent fights, and this is rule number 5, predict and prevent misunderstandings before they happen, which is something we've kind of been practicing lately, especially you. If you see, like, okay, like, after we get done with breakfast, we haven't really talked about what's going to happen next. Like, maybe we should talk about that now before we have 2 different expectations and not communicating with each other. So you'll be like, okay, let's talk about this now. What do you want to do after breakfast? What's the plan? Blah, 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 you know. And then we talk about it, and then there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And so I think being aware that you can practice that, like, you can try to predict when a misunderstanding is going to come up and communicate with each other to be like, this is the plan. Prevent the whole thing from happening to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2 was no arguing or disrespecting each other in front of others. Table it for when you're alone.
Yep.
Not too long ago, what was it? Thanksgiving last year, my family was over, and you had to leave because we had a friend who was in town from out of state, and you wanted to go see them. It was like the end of Thanksgiving, very late at night.
Yeah.
And my family was still here, and they were like, "Oh, where'd Travis go?" And I said he went to go see a friend that came from out of town. Someone said, like, maybe my sister said, "Oh, I thought you guys had an argument and he left." And then my aunt chimes in and goes, "They don't argue about me and Travis." And I was like, "Well, no, we didn't argue, but we do argue. Like, we're a normal couple just like anybody else. We argue." But she was literally truthfully baffled that I was telling her that we argue. Because she just, like, we just don't put that off to other people that we argue.
Yeah. It's because we don't show that we're upset with each other in front of other people, or anything. Like, none of that. It's all, you won't even know.
Just put it aside until you guys until we're alone.
Yeah. Like, if it's something that you really might upset me.
Like, I just said something that upset you. Like, the way
during
I said
the event.
You just,
the best way I would handle it I would probably tell you, hey, we need to talk later.
Yeah.
But I would whisper it to you or text it to you, even though I'm in the same room as you.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, nobody in the room will ever know that, you know,
I said something to upset you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's true. And then when we get together later, you try to have a productive argument about it if it turns into an argument.
Right.
The next one is walking away is allowed. And so I've heard that this is like a common one with people with an anxious attachment style, which we'll do attachment styles in a separate episode with Angelica, but people who grow up and have an anxious attachment style, to them, saying, you know, I need space for a minute, I need to walk away for a minute, and taking time to cool down in the middle of an argument, that person walking away to the person with the anxious attachment style feels like you're giving up on me, you're leaving me.
Yeah.
And that's not what it is at all. If it's in a healthy argument where you need to just, you know, it's not going anywhere, we're going in circles, we're just getting louder and louder, we're starting to cuss at each other, like, it's just getting worse and not better, then you have to be able to allow your partner to walk away when they need time to, you know, they're going to call it and take time to themselves and come back to it later. And you have to also be allowed to walk away and use that when it's necessary. Because if you think about it, if you choose to walk away and come back to it later, that prevents it from escalating to a point where you may not be able to return from. You say something you regret.
Yeah.
You build some kind of hatred for your partner because of something they said to you.
Yeah.
Like, you're preventing getting to that point.
And
just like argument maintenance.
And 9 times out of 10, what I realized, for some people, when they need to walk away, it is more for them to like gather their thoughts, like to get everything together, like, and
because when you're in the heat of it, sometimes it's getting lost in translation. You're not really listening, and you're only saying.
Yeah, and sometimes you can realize, okay, wait, I'm not
comprehending anything.
Yeah, I'm not understanding what's going on, and I'm just saying the same thing
or
over.
The other person's not understanding, and you can tell they're not understanding.
Right. Right. Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, and the last one is try not to use always or never. And this one we are not good at. We still do this, but we're trying to become more conscious about it. So it's like, what?
Nothing.
Don't make that face. You say you don't, but you do. Maybe not as much as I do, but you do. Anyway, so the point of that is, if you're saying to your partner in an argument, well, you always do this, or you never do that, like you never take out the trash, or you always disrespect me, whatever the argument is.
Right.
Most likely the word never or always isn't accurate. So when you're in the argument, you're making the other person think that you really do think they never do that or they always do that. And it's like, that's not an accurate depiction of what's going on.
And if you do have that, if one of you guys are doing that, guys or girls are doing that to each other, try to, like, all right, how can I put it? Like, for example, if Kelsey's doing it to me, if she's saying I never take out the trash, then like something I'll do, I will look back on it and I'll go, okay, well, I wouldn't say never, but yeah, I would say like 3 days out of every week or 2 days out of every week, I don't take out the trash. I let it go. Yeah. But that's not never.
Right.
Like you can still try to get them.
Give me the credit for what I do.
Yeah, like I'll take what I did wrong. Okay, those 2 days, I could do this for it. But
so the argument would change from you never take out the trash to, hey, I need you to try to take out the trash every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So you like, to me, it's like helping out both ways, because you're also taking credibility. Like, okay, you're accepting your wrongs. Yeah. And at the same time, you're trying to help this person correct their wrong and trying to, put something on you that wasn't the case. Right.
And it all just goes back to like common understanding. If you're saying always or never and the other person subconsciously does not agree that it's always or never, then there's never going to be a common understanding, because you're like, but I do that. Well, you don't do that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So if it's really just the main goal of common understanding, then you really can just let go of always or never and be more specific.
Sounds like almost a lot of these got in common is understanding. Yeah. A lot of people say communication, but I mean, communication is, I would say communication is key, but understanding
communication comes after understanding.
I would say they're hand in hand.
I think, well, yeah, they are hand in hand. But when you look at like the overall relationship between two people, the first thing you have to do is understand your partner and like how they communicate. What, like, truly deeply understand them and where they came from, because then communication will be easier. Yeah. Communication will be smoother if you understand each other. And you have to put that effort into understanding each other too. You can't just wait for your partner to tell you things, or, you have to be actively wanting to understand the other person. You agree?
Yes.
You said yes and nothing came out. All right. So let's jump right into parenting, I think.
The way we was parented.
Yeah. You
Parented.
want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Uh,
So we're gonna talk a little bit about parenting. We're gonna talk about a little bit how we were parented, how we want to parent Cash, a couple of different things. We're gonna specifically talk at some point about gentle parenting and the common misconceptions of gentle parenting. So please stick around for that. But Travis is gonna start us off with how he was parented.
my mom was. She was really more on like cleanliness, making sure I was clean, the house was clean, I looked clean, all that, just everything clean. And I mean, that's how much really she instilled in me. Like, I mean, that was pretty much it. Everything else, I kind of did on my own. I don't want to say like I raised myself, but I mean, I guess in a way you can say that, but I don't know. Me and her had a, me and her was talking, me and my mom was talking, and we come to a realization that when I was telling her, what about all my friends' moms that, you used to always tell them how good of a kid I am and how proud of you and da da da. And she would say, no, they would say that of you. She said, I always thought that was funny because she said, I didn't really instill you being respectful to others. Like she said, I wanted you to be respectful, of course. But she said, I did never really force that in you to respect your elders and all that. And now she said, but you did that on your own. She said, every friend that you ever had, all their parents would say that you raised this one right.
Yeah.
This kid is very respectful. This kid does everything.
Yeah, well, after your older brother.
But
that's all we got to say about that.
I mean, where I was at, where I was living at with my mom, it was just me and my mom. And she worked 6 to 2. 4 to 2, really, sometimes.
Yeah.
4 in the morning, about 2, 3 o'clock, she get off. And so I have, me being a kid, I have all that time. And sometimes she would work weekends. So I would have all that time, even after school, to do whatever. Yeah. And I would never do nothing bad. I would just, most of the time chill out and, just hang out in my own room or, play the game. Every now and then invite one of my closest friends over and we'll just chill. But I never, I don't know, I kind of just kept to myself. Did everything on my own, fighting, all that. I had to teach myself.
Got yourself to and from school.
Yeah,
got the bus.
Got myself to and from school if I missed the bus.
Yeah.
I got into sports on my own.
Band.
I got into band on my own. Everything was literally like I kind of taught myself. I figured out if I liked it. My mom didn't never push me into nothing. Like I said, she pushed me into cleaningness. So by the time I hit high school, then she focused it on diploma. She wanted me to graduate. I was focused on, doing other things.
Yeah.
I wanted a girlfriend. I wanted to do band. I wanted to hang out with my friends. I wanted to do this. So
and you were goofy as hell too, so it's kind of hard putting that into a box of like
yeah. Man, people might say, "Oh, it's like my mom wasn't there." Some people might say that, but I would say she was there. Like she was strict with me, and there was a lot of things I wasn't allowed to do. But at the same time, it was more like she trusted me, and I wasn't doing nothing out in the world that somebody would have to come back to her door. other than the time I missed 72 days of high school. And I don't know if we're going to talk about that ever.
We can. We can talk about it right now. It's a quick story. You missed 72 days of high school. They contacted your mom about it.
Okay, that's the only time.
Yeah. She went up to the school, talked with the principal.
Yeah.
And turns out you were still getting good grades even though you missed 72 days of school, so they couldn't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
You had passing grades.
I was skipping in my band class at the time.
All your other classes into the band room. You were skipping your other classes to go to the band room.
Yeah, the whole day. Yeah. As soon as school started, I went straight to band and never left.
Let you do it.
Yep, and he let me do it.
And other people too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give up his name, but yeah,
y'all know who the band teacher was.
he let me do it. He let everybody do it, really, and I was the only person that kind of overdid it, I guess. But I thought I was in the clear because check this out, y'all. The whole game. Look, I'm not saying do this. I'm not. If any kids look, I'm not saying do this. But this is what I was doing. I would go to school would start. Boom. Okay. I'm gonna go to my first class, first period. Go in there. All right. Stay in there until we get our assignments handed out to us. Get the assignment. Got to use the restroom. I'm gone. Leave. Go to band. I'm gonna do the work in band. I already know the assignment.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I got my book in my book bag.
Yeah.
Keep it with me.
In my book bag.
I keep it with me. Boom. So I give to my band class. Do that real quick. Okay. Bing, bing, bing. Second period. All right, cool.
Class, pick up your paperwork.
Go to class. Do the same thing.
Yeah.
But guess what I'm gonna do at the end of the day?
Turn it all in.
At the end of the day, I'm gonna turn it all in. Yes, the teachers are gonna say something. Of course. Oh, where was you at? Why did They're gonna say everything.
Yeah.
Here.
All you did was pop those dimples. hand them a homework assignment.
I mean, it also helps if you're a teacher's pet. So I was never disrespectful to none of my teachers. I was very trustworthy in a bad way.
In a bad way, yeah.
But I knew how to.
It was crazy, but you were trustworthy.
Yeah, I knew how to gain people. Look, that's bad. See, look, I knew how to gain people trust as a kid and just and use it to my advantage. But that's how I missed 72 days of school.
You're not the only kid who like teachers favorited like that. Like I could say a couple of people that teachers in our school favorited, like let get away with a lot of stuff that they wouldn't let other students get away with. And it would always be like a basketball player. It would always be the star basketball player or a star football player. They get away with everything.
They always looked at them as having a future ahead of them.
Probably that's what it was. They could see their future, so they didn't care.
Yeah. Especially if it was some of the teachers that went to the games.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of teachers would go to the games.
You know the teacher.
Oh yeah.
Mr. F.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Of course he goes to the game. He was the coach of one of them.
His wife
worked there too?
Yeah, she worked at our school too. They got married while they were teaching.
I didn't know.
They were both teaching at our school. She was across the hall from him. She definitely was giving special treatment to the basketball players.
Ooh, you gotta tell me.
I don't remember her name now.
Because
you probably don't know her.
Oh, it was after I was.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Travis only went to Broad Ripple freshman year.
Yep.
And then for a week senior year.
I went to. I graduated at Arsenal Technical High School.
Yeah. Well, it was the reason it was only for a week senior year is because that's when we were dating, and I was trying to get you to come back to Broad Ripple, and you wanted to be in Broad Ripple's band, so you were fine with that.
Yes.
And you get to our school, you're there for 4 days or something like that, and then they tell you that your history credit, was it history?
Yeah.
Your history credit or something.
It was history. It didn't. No, it was history. It didn't
transfer over to our school, which was stupid because they're both IPS schools.
So I would have to been in an 8th grade class in my senior year.
Yeah, to get that credit.
And I
And
was
you were like, I'm not doing that.
no. I
So you went back to tech.
I was skipping that class too.
Yeah.
I was like, I went to that class probably 2 times and stayed the full period 2 times, and I was just like,
Yeah, so sorry about that little tangent about school, but that was a good little memory.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll continue into parenting. So I was raised with both parents. They were married. They were high school sweethearts, much like us. They got married very young. They got married when they were 19, the year I was born. Yeah, and we grew up middle class, lower middle class, I'd say. And then my parents kind of raised me to be really independent. They raised me to do for myself as much as possible. And I even got my first job when I was 14. The main reason for that was because like the recession hit us really hard. My mom worked at a car dealership during the recession. So that hit car dealerships pretty big. And they were like, things are tough right now. We'll get you your necessities, but if there's something you want, you're welcome to get a job if you want. And my first job was at a bowling alley at 14 doing birthday parties. So from then on, that really like set the tone for like the type of worker I am, I would say, and probably like my independence of like just getting things done.
Yeah.
Kind of. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah, and it was very much like you were saying, like, I trust you to be a good kid, basically.
Yeah.
And I pretty much was. Like, they never really had to worry about me. My sister got in trouble a little bit more than I did, so it was more of like the emphasis was on her and what she was doing, and I was just, even as a teenager, I wasn't like rebellious or anything. We would argue. I argued with my parents a lot when I was a teenager, but I think that's kind of a normal part of growing up.
Yeah.
If I had to look back and think of something that I didn't like very much growing up, I would say it was the amount of yelling. And it was just like, it just always seemed like somebody was yelling at somebody else in our household. And it kind of made me really have a big aversion to yelling. Like, me, I don't like yelling around me. I don't like yelling around me. Like, if it doesn't involve me, I'll walk out if somebody's yelling. Because I don't want to be around it. It makes me anxious, and I don't have to be around it. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be that way. Then I don't need to be there. So we've said before that like we want to make sure to have like a not yelly household, like how we grew up, kind of. And that's like one of the major themes. Like we'll get frustrated and yell maybe once, but we're not like just yelling at each other all the time. It's not going to be a common theme. I really want our home to be like a peaceful place for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Is there something you would look back on that you didn't like in your childhood?
It would be the yelling for me too. And the whooping. Yeah, people would say, whooping helps. I got whooped and,
I turned out fine.
Yeah, I turned out fine. I was like, well, okay, well, yeah, whooping helps depending on the situation, depending on, how bad it is, what that child did to deserve a whooping. For you to either whatever you hit the kid with, your hand, the belt, whatever you choose, before you go that route, is it that deep first?
Yeah.
Because Jesus.
Yeah.
One whooping I will never forget. No, I think there's two because I'm looking at the scar, and people will be like, "Oh no, that's abuse." Like, well, that's what a belt does.
Yeah.
She wouldn't hit me with her fist. She didn't hit me with a switch or anything other than what you would normally hit your kid with. A belt. She didn't hit me with her hand. It was belt. What's everybody's normal, with our generation is used to.
Mm-hmm.
One little scratch is still on my arm, still to this day. Still see it. And when I was a kid, I remember I was trying to dodge. I guess this is still my fault.
No. You just gaslit yourself.
Well, I don't know. But I was trying to move out the way of the belt because
What was she whooping you for?
You
don't remember?
I can't remember.
Okay, it's fine if you don't remember. Don't take too much time thinking about it.
But yeah,
you dodged out of the way.
I tried to dodge out the way, and then the belt like slapped me in the eye. Mm-hmm. And for that time being, and the whole next day when I went to school, that eye, which was probably, I think it was my right eye, it was like blurred out. Like I could still see out of it, but it was just blurred. Yeah. And I was too afraid to tell my mom.
What did you think would have happened if you told her?
That either I was making it up, or I would get another whooping, or
oh my God,
I didn't want to go to the doctor personally. That was the only, like, that wasn't even really the thought. The doctor wouldn't have thought. It was more of being afraid of another whooping. That's really what kept me from.
That's crazy that you think that she would have whooped you if you told her you couldn't see.
But I just thought that she would get mad.
But as a child, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I know this is gonna be hard for anybody to believe. Honestly, with Fix the Blur, that same day when I was at school with Fix the Blur.
Fix the Blur.
When we was leaving, school was over, and we was all, lining up to go outside to eat on the bus. It was raining. So they was trying to rush us on the bus quick so we didn't, because it was raining pretty hard. And I remember when we got outside.
Oh, I remember this.
I remember when we got outside, I looked up in the sky. I was just looking up, just looking up like a kid would. I didn't have my mouth open or nothing. I was just looking up in the rain.
That got to do with anything.
I don't know why you think that I had my mouth open trying to catch raindrops. I just looking up, and one raindrop fell directly in my eye, the one that was blurred, and
then you could see.
And I wiped it, and I was able to see. And I was like, I'll take that. I'm good. I'm fine.
All you need was some
water, or just a wipe, or just
a wipe.
Just a wipe. Because after the smack in my eye, I was afraid to touch my eye. Yeah.
All you have to do is rub your eye.
I'm gonna say a thing about whooping, because my wife don't know nothing. Kelsey don't know nothing about that. She don't know nothing about whoopings.
I got whoopings, but I was a good kid, so I didn't get very many.
She don't know what getting a lot of whoopings.
I didn't get them definitely when I was older.
And I know people thinking, oh well, you probably deserved it. Yes, okay. Again, I'm not gonna hide the fact or deny the fact that I
did something,
and I probably did deserve it, more likely. But I can also remember times where I didn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Like what? Like for what?
Like for me and my brother just talking shit with each other. Like, I'm not cussing, but I'm telling him I'm gonna beat his butt. I'm not saying I'm gonna beat your ass.
And your mom whooped you.
We was in playing Nintendo, and I just kept on yelling at him, "Oh, I'm gonna beat your butt! I'm gonna beat your butt! I'm gonna beat your butt!"
Yeah.
And my mom said, "What you say?" So I said it. I told her what I said. And then she said, "Okay, I'm gonna show you that." And she got up, and I ran in the living room, and then she chased me in there and whooped me. I'm saying that's what I mean by like certain stuff. It can be overboard. Like instead of you being as a parent getting mad to the point where you want to yell at the kid or lay hands at the kid, take it as a teaching moment. I don't care if the kid is 17 years old, 18 years old, 20 years old. If they living with you, however years old, the age don't matter. There's never a time where you cannot stop, think, and have a teaching moment with your child.
Mm-hmm.
As much as they don't want to be lectured, or much as we don't even now, as we still got parents today that still lectures us, and we're adults, and we don't want to hear it. I still don't want to hear it, but I know for a fact that I need to hear at least some of it, because somewhere in that lecture, it is going to be a key thing that is going to help me. Maybe the way that our parent is saying it to us at that time, we're not
Resonating.
It's not really connecting. But if you really sit back and try to remember what they said, think to yourself, try to in detail of what they said to you, something in there could help you in your life.
Well, so kind of back to what you were saying about like, is it worth it, right?
Yeah.
What about, is it going to teach them anything? Because like when you were a child, in this instance you were just talking about, and you got whooped because you were telling your brother you were going to whoop him in the game, and then you got a whooping for that. At your age, you probably didn't really understand what you got that whooping for. Probably to this day, still don't really understand what you got that whooping for. So it didn't teach you anything. All it taught you was that you can't tell your brother you're going to whoop him in the game, but you don't know why you can't say that.
If anything, 9 times out of 10, depending how, and I'm gonna say this, depending how dumb and stupid your reasonings for whipping your child is, they will do it behind your back. That's more reason for them to do whatever stupid reason you're whipping them for, is going to give them more reason to do it behind your back.
Or do anything behind your back.
So if your kid walks in the house, or how can I paint the picture for them?
If your kid went out to a party and then came home and was afraid of a whooping, they're not going to tell you they went to a party. But if it comes up later in conversation and they feel like they want to admit to you that they went to that party, they would be more likely to do so if they weren't afraid of a whooping.
Right.
A physical punishment.
Same thing with cussing. If you ever just walk past your kid and he playing a video game and he slip up and say a cuss word, instead of you going in there snatching up the game, breaking the game, or slapping him, or what did you say, all that, ask him to pause the game. Come here. Yeah. Teach them. Hey, I understand it's a game. I understand you doing that on the game. And if you're that type of parent that you okay with your kid cussing, then fine. You teach them. You let them know that that's it. You only do it for that moment.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it past this. If you get past this, we're cutting it all the way off completely. Set boundaries. Set rules. Try to set those and let them know. Let them know in advance and in the middle and throughout the whole thing that we're setting boundaries, this is how it's going to go before I lead to having to punish you, having to whoop you.
Set the expectation, not just expecting your kid to know the expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect example. My mom whooped me and I dodged it and got smacked in the eye, and I thought something was badly wrong with my eye. I thought something was badly wrong with my eye to the point where I could have told my mom, but I was too afraid that she would whip me.
Right. So you could have went blind in that eye and your mom would never know because you were afraid that she was going to whoop you.
But you see where that leads, though?
Yeah.
I'm going to whip my kid because he said a cuss word. Okay, fine, you did. He's not going to ever cuss in front of you. He's going to be a sailor in front of everybody else that's not connected to you.
Yeah.
Oh, you stopped your kids from fighting in school. Okay, fine. I'm not going to fight on school premises. I'm gonna fight after school away.
Yeah.
Everything you do, your kid is just gonna counteract that.
Yeah.
You whooping them ain't gonna help. And I'm not saying keep talking. There's gotta be some understanding. There's gotta be some meeting. There's gotta be somewhere where you're messing up too. You can't put it all on the kid. As a parent, you mess up too.
Well, as parents, we're responsible for our reaction to what
Yeah.
they do.
If you turn around and say, you act just like your daddy, or you act just like this person, and you telling your kid that, I mean, well, think about it.
Yeah.
Can't be mad, can you?
Nope. Because you told them they are.
So when they grow up,
they will be what you expect them to be.
Exactly.
I was just gonna say that the reason I don't agree with physical punishment, the most we do is like tap of the hand.
Yeah.
If he's like reaching for stuff on the counter he can't get to, he's not supposed to get to. But my big reason is because we are literally, as a society, learning to do this, hitting our children as discipline, which we've already described why it doesn't make sense for a learning environment. But we discipline our children by hitting them. We're teaching them that it's okay for someone who loves you to hit you. And then apologize and it's fine. Or not apologize and it's fine. And that's not okay, because actually there's studies that show that people who grow up in an environment like that, where they're hit by someone they love and they're taught that they're doing it because I love you, because I want you to be better, then that's the exact kind of relationship they get into.
Oh.
And they're okay with their loved ones hurting them, physically hurting them, because they love them.
Let me tell them the story about the time, you can cut this part out, but let me tell them the story about the time my mom whooped me for the TV not working, but then it worked, and then she apologized after.
Yes. Tell that story, yes. We got 10 minutes left on this one.
All right. So I'm going to tell you guys a quick little story about another time that my mom whooped me. And this one was for no reason at all, to the point where she even apologized at the end. So we was out of town at one of her boyfriend's house at the time, and he lived out of town. So we went to go visit him, and they already been together for a long time, and he lived in this nice house. And we went this one time, and we got there around nighttime, and it was storming and stuff. It was in Detroit, and it was thundering and all that. It was pretty bad weather out that night, and him and my mom was in the kitchen making dinner for the night, and I was in the living room watching TV, and the TV kept going out. He had one of those big, huge box TVs. I don't know, one of those old school big, huge boxes. I forgot what they call them, but it just kept going out, kept staticking out. Like every 2-3 minutes, static would come up and sit there for a good minute or so, and then it'd go back to the TV station I had it on. So it kept doing that, just kept doing it. And the whole time my mom never comes out. She stays in the kitchen, just with her, guy, and just making dinner and all that. And so I tell my mom, hey, the TV is messing up. And she said, what's wrong with it? And I told her that the static keeps coming up and the TV just keeps going out. And she says, oh, okay, well, what'd she say? I think she was just like, oh, okay, well, it'll fix itself or something. So she walks away and goes back in the kitchen. So I'm sitting there watching it, and then I tell her again. So then she comes back out again, and then she was like, okay, well, I'm gonna sit right here, and if it doesn't go out, then I'm gonna whoop you. Well, I'm gonna whoop your ass, is what she said.
Because she thought you were lying.
She thought I was just playing, wasting her time from her walking back and forth through the kitchen to the living room. Because he had a big house.
Yeah.
So it was a nice little distance.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, okay. So I went to go sit on the couch, and we just were sitting there. And for some reason, while we're sitting here, the TV decides to never go out. She sat there for a good 10 minutes. And remember, I said the TV kept going out every 2 to 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
She sat there for a good 10 minutes. The TV never went out. After that 10-minute mark,
she whooped you.
She whooped me. So after the whooping, she went in the living room. She went in the kitchen. She came back in, and as soon as she came right back in the living room, the TV went out. And she sat there and looked at the TV static, then looked at me, and then she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
That was it.
And I didn't know what to say to her.
You didn't say anything.
Mm-mm.
How old were you, think?
I want to say I probably wouldn't, because when she was dating him, I want to say I was probably like 10 or 11.
Right. Yeah. This was the boyfriend that tried to get her to leave you with a family member.
That's why I say my mom is like, she's good, and also she can be a little rough around the edges.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the guy that was trying to get my mom to leave me and come live in Detroit with him.
Yeah.
And at first she was like, he asked her, why don't you just come pack up and move down here? And she said, what about my son? And he said, oh, you can just leave your son with your grandma at his grandma's house.
Yeah.
And she said, no.
Right, that's my son. I'm raising him.
Yeah, she said, both of us are none. And he was like, oh, well, no. I'm not trying to raise another kid.
Yeah. Good thing, too, because he was horrible.
Oh, no.
Could you imagine if she... Anyway, let's move on from that. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back. All right. We're going to talk about a little bit about how we parent different than each other. We've always had a common understanding of how we wanted to parent, even before we knew we were going to be parents. Because if you don't know our story, we went 6 years without using protection and did not get pregnant until completely randomly, after we bought our house, 3 months after we bought our house, I actually missed 2 periods before I figured out, maybe we should take a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
And I ended up being 8 weeks pregnant.
Yep.
And that was a shock. We were shocked. Never expected that to happen. And now we have a son. His name is Cash with a K. And he is 19 months old. So how we parent different than each other. I think you're a better parent than I am, to be completely honest. But it's all about who spends the most time with him. And right now you're spending the most time with him.
Yeah.
Which I wish was, we had more equal time with him, but you're good at being stern with him, and you're good at being stern with him. And I try to be stern, but I get overwhelmed too quickly. And I'm working on that. But I'm more loving and have a lot of intention with him.
Yeah.
What differences would you say? He's calmer around you too. We realized that today. I went into work a little bit later than I normally do, and Cash lost his everlasting mind. His ever-loving mind. He was just acting crazy while I was still home this morning. And then as soon as I left, he was acting normal.
Yep.
was like, oh, mom's home, I can act a fool.
Yeah.
But when he's just with you, he's just chilling in his room, come out and chill with you. But me, loses ever loving mind. And it's not like because I'm being more permissive, it's like he's just whinier and clingier when I'm here.
Well, it's probably because in this way, a lot of people might not agree with this. When my son is, I guess, throwing his little fits, I don't let him, do it all the way. I kind of keep it controlled, like
Contained.
contain. Like you can throw your little fit, get upset, but it's just gonna be like right here. You're not about to be welling and throwing stuff and nothing like that.
Right.
But for the most part, also I'll let him cry it out.
Right.
And then after the
let's not say cry it out.
Well, yeah,
we let him finish the tantrum.
Yeah.
Because within seconds, I would say less than 30 seconds, he's ready to like sit on our lap and calm down on his own.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to make him calm down. We don't have to yell at him. Let him melt down for a second. And within 30 seconds, he wants to sit on our lap and is trying to calm down.
When it's just me and him, I told Kelsey, I was telling you earlier today, when it's just me and him, mainly, like especially after breakfast, I will just get his whole room ready for him.
Yeah.
I'll give him, some snacks laid out, his drink ready.
He plays in his room.
All his stuff ready that he would enjoy. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he's done eating, he goes in there.
Independently plays in his room.
Plays in his room.
If he plays in the playroom.
Yeah, plays in the playroom. And he'll come out and see what I'm doing, sit with me for a little bit, and play with me for a little bit. Yep. And I notice after he'll play like 5 minutes with me, then he'll get up and then go somewhere else and go play.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, so you don't.
Or if he wants to eat, he'll tell you. If he wants a snack or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know.
He's just very independent, and that's just natural for an only child.
Yeah, and I'm not the only child. I have 2 other brothers, but
you were raised like an only child.
Yeah, I was raised like the only child. One was locked up for the majority of my childhood. The other one,
and he's much older than you.
Yeah, and the other one that's older than me, still a lot older than me.
He was with his dad.
He was living with his dad at the time, so I only got to see the one living with his dad on the weekends and summertime, and my other brother that was locked up, I only got to visit him every so often.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think back to the tantrum thing. The tantrum I've learned since we've become parents is like some of us will take a tantrum personally. We don't even know, like subconsciously we're taking it personally.
Yeah.
Like they are disrespecting us by throwing a tantrum. And that's not what it is at all.
Yeah, no.
As a toddler, they don't understand no. They don't understand why they can't do the thing they want to do. If we tell them no, they don't understand that. So then they have a meltdown. They can't conceptualize any of those emotions. And so our only job is to give them a safe place to finish the tantrum and then help regulate them.
Yep.
And then they'll learn to regulate themselves at some point. I will be the first to say that I'm not good at regulating myself, and I wish I was. But, you can't yell at your kid when they're upset.
Yeah.
Because you're worsening their regulation. You're worsening it.
Let them get through it, and then come to them once they calm down. Talk to them about their frustration or what frustrated them.
Right, because they're not going to be rational if they're upset still.
Get a whole understanding and even that way after they have their little fit, whatever age you're dealing with. If you're not dealing with a baby or toddler or whatever, if you're dealing with something much older, try to like once they calm down and you talk to them and you get them to understand, you get to understand where their frustrations stem from. That's also your time for you to get them to understand what you was trying to get them to do. Whatever you was trying to get them to do, or whatever you was trying to tell them to upset at them, whatever that was, that's your time to do it much more calmly.
And make it stick.
Yeah, and this time it more likely will stick because it's a whole different situation.
Right.
You coming into their room or into them after they calm down, calm.
Yeah.
Coming to them with peace, coming to them with love, like, hey, I'm here for you. What
get
happened?
More bees with honey than you do with vinegar. Yeah.
Ask them what happened, all that, and then let them know, all right, well, I understand that, and we're gonna help you with that. But this is why.
Right. This is why yada yada yada. Right. Yep.
But
yeah. And not all of this, not to say that we think we are perfect parents, not at all. And none of these things that I wouldn't say there's many of these things that we follow to the T either. We are just consciously trying to. And that kind of brings me to my next point. There's the buzzwords gentle parenting, or it's also called conscious parenting. And there's some misconceptions about it that I just wanted to, put to rest. Because I consider us gentle parents or conscious parents. We have decided that we are going to raise our children with respect, mutual respect amongst each other. Yeah. I respect my child as much as I expect them to respect me.
Yeah.
Because they are little human beings, not my property.
Yeah.
Not extensions of me. They're their own person. And so that I think that's one of the common misconceptions about gentle parenting is like that it's permissive parenting. Kids can do whatever they want, no consequences. Don't have to ask permission, whatever. None of that is true. He will have to ask for permission. There will be no's. We tell him no all day long.
Yeah.
Literally, the word we say the most, I'm surprised he doesn't know how to say no yet.
Yeah.
Because it's the word we say the most. He knows how to shake his head no. But it's not about that. It's not about being permissive or not permissive. It's about understanding that your child is a human, understanding that what their emotions are developmentally and appropriately for their age, and working with that child to have as peaceful of a relationship with them as you can, so that you can grow into a good adult relationship with them and raise them to be good humans.
Right.
That's the basis of it. And I would consider myself a good human, but I think there are parts of me that could have improvement. So I would want to raise my child to be a good human in some of the parts that I wish I was a better human. You know what I'm saying? And we've talked about that recently too. What's another common misconception you think of gentle parenting? A common misconception is like gentle parents just want to be friends with their kids and not parents. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a pretty good misconception because, again, it's not about being permissive or just like being the cool parent. It's about having a good relationship with your kid and like not being the reason they need therapy when they're adults.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add about that?
Not about that, but about the no, about saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not there yet, but we might have to work on that yet. But I mean, we will eventually. Mm-hmm. But for people that are dealing with kids that's a lot older than our toddler,
yeah.
When you tell your kid no, like, for example, no, you can't pick up that basketball.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Try to not, and they say, oh, why not? And then you say, because I said so. Try to remember that doesn't help nothing.
No, it really doesn't.
It's better.
It makes the kid just want to do it more.
It doesn't hurt. It does not hurt you for you to explain what you mean and why. No,
it does
I don't
not
want you to
remove
pick
the
up the
aspect of
ball.
respect.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I don't want you to pick up the ball because it's in the mud, and I don't want your hands to get dirty.
Yeah.
I don't want your outfit to get dirty. Like,
and then if more questions after that, then fine. You can say no more questions. I told you why.
yeah,
But
you
should be
saying,
able to say why.
yeah,
Yeah.
you saying no, and then them asking why, and you just saying because you this.
It doesn't teach them.
It doesn't teach
why,
them nothing.
You know, a week from now they shouldn't be picking up that
right
ball.
Because oh my god, that's part of like oh oh my god, that is another like big thing in my child in everybody's childhood.
Yeah.
When after you told no, and then a parent says, and then you say why, and then that parent says, oh, because I said so, and then that child later on does something similar to that you said no to in the past,
But
or
just
does
because
that
you said so,
or does that thing that you said no to in the past, and he does it later on in life, or later, or weeks on, whatever, and then you get upset and you say, I thought I told you before not to do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you kind of got to slap yourself, because yeah, you probably told them way back then just no, but now that they're doing it, and they're doing it all the way, like he fully picked up the basketball this time, it's probably because you just said no and didn't give out an explanation why.
Right.
So this time when he sees the ball and he's like, oh, well, you're not around, and
right. What does it matter?
I mean, yeah. It's just the ball, right?
Yeah, it just goes
I
back
usually
to
always pick it
them
up.
not knowing why you said no.
Yeah, I picked it up, and then you come out. I told you not to pick it up, and then they looking at you like dumbfounded, and then you tell, I told you not to pick it up because this would happen.
Well, you didn't tell me because that would happen.
And then when y'all kids give you that look, like, to y'all it looks dumbfounded, like they give you that look like you caught them, or it's not a I caught you look. They're looking at you like, but why didn't you tell me this beforehand? Mm-hmm. Why didn't you give me the reason of why I shouldn't pick it up?
Give me
beforehand?
All the information. Yeah.
Don't touch this ball because it's dirty.
Yeah.
So next week when it comes around and that ball is still sitting in that same spot, oh, I remember the ball's still sitting in the dirt.
Dirty.
It's still dirty.
I
can't. I shouldn't pick it up.
Right.
Mom said it's dirty.
Yeah. Yep. Give us the tools we need.
Try that. I'm not saying.
Give us the tools we need to succeed. That's all.
And I'm not saying it's gonna work all the time. I'm just saying try it. You never know.
All right. Well, I think that was a good conversation about parenting.
Yeah.
That I think we already knew of each other, but hope you all got something from that. And next week you'll get a bonus.
I want a chocolate donut.
Next week you'll get a bonus with me, Angelica, and Stephanie that we recorded when we recorded our scary episodes episode. Our scary stories episode, I mean.
Our scary episode.
That'll be a little bonus. I'm not sure how much content we have for that episode, and then after that, we'll be doing a little wedding recap. So if you have questions for that episode, send us over a Q&A or a question for the Q&A episode. It can be about the wedding. It can be about her bachelorette party. And then we will see y'all then. All right, y'all. Bye.
Pieces.